Hey,
Hello.
hey. And for anyone that doesn't know us, welcome. We
Hello,
are,
everybody. I'm Z.
hello, the beautiful Z. It's nice to have you back of the Z Collective. And my name's Anya of Spiritual Soul Centre. I forgot to change my name again. For some reason, it does that often. So bear with me while I do it now. There we go. So,
Done
yeah.
that so much the last little while in interviews where it's like had some random thing on there. I'm like, I don't remember putting that in there. And I just leave it. I'm like, whatever, dude.
Honestly, I must change it every time I get on here, but for some reason it doesn't like to save the settings, so I keep forgetting. But yes, welcome back. Welcome to us. Welcome to our channel, to our series. If you are completely new to us and you don't have any idea what we're talking about and you want to skip back a little bit, there is a whole series on both mine and Z's channel, which will be linked below. In my channel, it's called The Power of Energy. I think it's called Let's Chat in yours.
Yeah, let's get real or something like that.
Let's get real.
Let's get
Sorry,
real.
get real, man. Which again, I always think that's a perfect bridge to starting our shows because Let's Get Real is exactly how we like to keep it here and like to kind of embody this grounded realness. And I just want to take a little minute to say thank you for everyone that showed up to the workshop day because it was just such a magical, exciting, activating New Earth Day. And I truly enjoy it and embody like the all the emotions beforehand and then holding the space on the day is just it feels like a different realm when we're all together like that, doing that energy work in that way. And it went exactly how I thought it would, if not a million times better. Everyone there that showed up was exactly aligned. Everyone on Zoom, everyone that facilitated, beautiful Maria and Claire, and all the people behind the scenes. It was just really beautiful. So I'm really grateful for everyone involved. And yeah, it was just such an exciting, wonderful day. So thank you. And if you are interested in the next gathering, if you missed that one, do check below. There'll be information on that. But
Really.
welcome to our journey today. We've not got much structure or plans. We're just kind of going to roll with the wind and
Yeah.
talk about the energies because we have been a little bit out of it. So, how have you been, Z, since our last time we tried?
Busy.
Yeah, she's been really hard to get hold of.
Just, just real busy. Like last month was the Big Bang, lots of things coming out. Just consecutive like meetups, travels, making sure that like I hit my alignment for co-collabs. I had a book launch, I had a music launch, so it was all encompassing. And now I'm like, and breath.
Yeah, tell us a bit about that though. What was your book about? What was you did a play, there was other stuff. Tell us what's been going on.
Um, so I co-collaborated a book called We Are Quantum with 36 authors. It was an
Nice.
incredible experience. Definitely took me into the deepest aspects of what quantum is for me. And I chose to because there's many ways that I could look at this, and I have lots of stories, especially when it comes to quantum. I could talk about that all day, but I wanted to bring in the human reality of what that was to me and my real experience moving through that process and how that interworked and interchanged in my reality. So that was fun. The collaborators and I had a great time, and yeah, so there's that piece to that. That was
So
good.
where can people get that? Where is that? Is that available
I
on your website?
It's on my website, and I'll put the link below. So any of you guys could pop in and grab it. We did make international bestseller, so that's fun. It's just like a fun piece. Like I'm so
Super
excited for
fun.
everybody who collabed in that because the overall like it wasn't anything else of the title. It was just fun to be able to be in a space where I got to collaborate with people to make a
Yeah.
whole structure. Very New Earth.
Yes. Yes. And that's exactly what it's about lately, I think, is bringing these creations to life. Like we all have these visions and even those that are not necessarily content creators or book writers yet, I'm telling you, there'll be something waiting inside you that is ready to be birthed, even if that's the love of the land and starting gardening and nourishing the space that you live in. Like
Right?
there is so much that we can encompass. And I reshared a reel of mine I must have made about 3 years ago before I had children. And it's a quote about the jack of all trades, because we've been told like being a jack of all trades is not good. And if you actually listen to the full quote, I will not quote it because I do not know the exact words, but the concept of it was a jack of all trades, is better than a master of one because it has the opportunity to dive into multiple
all of these
aspects of life and multiple expressions and multiple ways of navigating that. And I love that. I love being a multifaceted creator. You know, in spirituality alone, I have about 1 million different facets that I've navigated down. I create art, I create music, I garden. You know, there's so much that you can express through. You don't just need to be a tarot card reader or a healer, you know, and I'm always kind of drilling this into people because your path is your own, your journey is your own, and you know, you're not meant to walk the same footsteps as someone else. We might walk in similar directions, which is wonderful, and that's why it's great to kind of connect in with community, but you're always meant to walk your own path, you know, and share your own stories, your own experiences through your creations. And yeah, I've had a bit of a wild time since we last came on. It actually feels like a whole lifetime since we last came on. I'm not going to lie. I've had actual death and rebirth, so that was fun. Real fun. No, it was not fun. But
what was
it
that
was
like?
it was, I mean, at the time, I genuinely feel like I mean, you have to excuse me, my way of dealing with life is humor. So if I take the mickey, it's just my way of coping with life. So you'll have to just roll with me on that. But yeah, I guess it's been different. I definitely took a vacation to 3-dimensional frequency, which I must say I have not been there for about 12 years. I mean, I started tarot card reading at 17 years old, and I'm 29 now. So it's been a long time. I've been living in the trusting process, in the, you know, trusting your body, trusting your intuition, letting your spirit lead the way of life. And when something that you didn't want to happen happens, having the visions and thoughts of like it's meant to be and trusting. But when I went through this recent experience, it was, I guess, shock was a big word.
Yeah.
And I could feel the split of multidimensionality of my human experience and my spirit's experience going on at the same time. And that was really hard for me because usually they're very much on a similar page.
Yeah.
So they're kind of working together. My human being, my human expression, my thoughts, my consciousness, and my spirit are very much usually in alignment. I do a lot of work on aligning the mind, body, and soul. But this experience I went through rocked me so much. And luckily I had Z to hold space for me, which was really beautiful as well. And just an extra thanks for that because that was really needed. That was really, really needed. And I went through this profound spiritual experience, which truly I still struggle to have words for now. It was one of the most profound, detailed, human, like real spiritual experiences I've been through. I have deep meditations, I've had deep plant medicine ceremonies, I've had deep visions, I've worked with mediumship and spirit for the past 12 years nearly. You know, I've had profound experiences, but not close to this. This was so real, but it wasn't yet happening in the human. And so that bridge in between the information I had been given and the experience I had and the human actually living it, that space in between, that was where everything just went, woo, see you next. You know, I really took a vacation to 3D and wow, it was a ride. I was involved in the medical system, which again, as anybody knows me knows, I have to be on death's door to be going there. And so it was different again, going through that. And I just felt like I lost my, you know, that connection to your soul that keeps you like aligned, even when everything's hitting the fan, you just like, you know, it's okay, it's going to be okay. I genuinely felt like I couldn't feel that. And that for me is so rare. And I was kind of shocked that this is how people are living. When there is that fear, when there is that pure terror and pure discombobulation, confusion, doubt, worry,
right,
fear mongering, you know, like your brain just goes, whoa. And I could not find it for like 2-3 days. Don't get me wrong, it was there. Like there was a small voice. It was about 10% of my consciousness. But I'm talking usually that voice is like 8% of my consciousness. So for me, for that to be at 10 was a drastic change in my whole being. And I was living in this state of fear and panic every day, every moment. I could not function. And it was awful. And then I went to see a friend after, but you see, again, the voice was there because I kept being guided to do things, to go certain places, to get alternative opinions. And so again, I listened to that, even though I was in doubt, fear, and worry. I still listened and I still did them things which provided confirmation and clarity in other layers. And so, as much as it was overriding me, the fear, I was still clinging on to that little voice inside of hope, and of trust. Trust was a big, huge, the biggest lesson of this experience for me was trusting myself, trusting the spirits, trusting everything I was told. And when I went to a beautiful friend Claire's, obviously we work together a lot spiritually, and I'm always reflecting to her. And sometimes I would say I'm harsh, but I'm quite blunt, So when I'm working with a higher self, sometimes it comes out that way. And especially when it's friends, there's this natural flow we have. And she offered that same energy back in a way that was very clear though. And somehow, somewhere, I managed to integrate it, and I actually learned the final part of the workshop before I did the workshop, which was something similar to what me and you had done, Z, which was nervous system platform creation. So like a space for your body to hold that. So I did some energy work on that, and it was like instantly my body was like, oh, we're back online. And don't get me wrong, there was still sadness, there was still fear, but nothing like what I had been feeling for the past 3 days. I knew what was right, I knew what was true, and it just took me back to that experience I'd had a few days prior. And I was like anchored into that as the truth rather than everything that had been in my brain. I was anchored into the experience I had and the truth of that, and how true I knew that was in that moment. And all the fear that came after that just kind of started to separate from the experience, and took about 2-3 weeks to actually communicate this and express this in a way that I actually knew how. And it was that's a long time for me because I'm quite fast processing, but I really needed time to just rest, to be in nature, to ground, to process and let my human catch up. I felt like my spirit was okay. My spirit knew what was going on. My spirit was like, yeah, okay, it's sad, I'm processing, but it's all right. I understand. I'm connected. I see the bigger picture. But my human being, my body, my mind, my whole self in the human was just freaking out. And I've never experienced that intensification. Well, I have, but not since stepping into spirituality, not since being 17. And so it was a real learning experience for me on how to re-anchor back into your truth, how to re-anchor back into your frequency, and also very insightful to what people might be experiencing in a different frequency, in fear, in sadness, in grief, in guilt and shame, and whatever emotion is surfacing there. It kind of gave me a lot of deep insight to it's not that easy to just change the frequency when you are actually stuck in a loop continuously. And sometimes you really need external things or support and reflections to bring you out of that loop, or allow you to bring yourself out of that. And yeah, I think I'm still processing it now, but I'm at so much more peace with it. There was so many synchronicities and details that you literally just couldn't write this shit. You couldn't make this up. It was insane, It was, as always with my life, it was magically beautiful. And out of anything now, when I look back through it, I just feel very honoured, very, very, very honoured to have had the experience I did have, and to have been shown the things I was shown, even though I struggled to navigate it and integrate it. I'm grateful that I experienced that, and I'm sure one day it will be something that I help translate and process into earth when I'm fully, processed it. But yeah, what a ride. What a ride. And what a journey back to truth and trust.
Absolutely. Like we have a lot of energy moving through because like it's make my nose drip, which it always does when there's a lot moving through.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of beings
Yeah.
here. Make my nose drip.
I didn't even notice I had too much in my own little surroundings to get there. Sorry about that. But yeah, mine tickles. My nose goes all tingly, like I've got dust in my nose, and I'm like, oh, okay, we've got presence here. So we definitely have the frequencies arrived, and I'm glad you said that, Z, because I think the energy is very high at the moment. The support, the help, but also there is a lot of little questionable things popping up that need to be moved on, cleared, released, and set free, I guess, that keeps coming up. Just little bits, little
tiny things.
little
I first just
things.
I want to say thank you for expressing yourself there for a second
Oh, thank you.
and being vulnerable in a really deep moment that you had running through there. And bringing this back into like getting real and connecting with all of you guys and understanding too, like you might be running through certain processes where that feels really deep or feels really alone. And I just wanted to say, like, it's perfectly okay to be exactly where you're at. And also, too, to share it so it moves through,
Yeah.
have a community to talk to about it.
Yeah. No, that was really important to me because like I kept saying, I feel like I have no words. I feel like I have no words, but I didn't have the words. And I felt like people wouldn't understand. But when I actually tried, people did understand. And I guess it was I just felt like people wouldn't get it and people wouldn't like see the whole thing of it because they didn't experience it. But really, they truly was able. There were so many people in my little village that supported me so much and held space for me. And I really don't think I'd have processed it through in the healthy way that I did if I didn't have that support, you know? And yeah, I guess it's strange. I feel a bit on the aftermath of it, I feel a bit confused because I don't relate to people that have experienced, I guess, similar things on a human level. And I guess there's a bit of confusion around that in my human self. My spirit knows why, because there's a different way of doing things, and we are moving into that. And I guess, as a lot of things, I do experience things sooner than some of the collective or some of the things on, like, on Earth. And I really just think this was a newer way of connecting to souls, of connecting with life, and knowing and being able to know that stuff and being able to actually hold that information, even though I struggled tremendously. So it was hard, but I got there, I managed to get there. And I think, yeah, the process of it probably would do things differently now. I know probably would anchor in different frequencies and reminders and energies and ask for support sooner. But other than that, I think it was all meant to be in the way it was, even though there was sadness and grief. But it's very healing to know what I know now and to have seen that like full circle of it. It's really wild. And sometimes I even question the reality of it myself. I'm kind of like, yeah, did that actually really happen? Like it feels a bit like a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was telling my friend the other day the whole story, full, and we was there for like 2 hours. We was both sobbing, and it was like this moment where we both looked at each other like, "Is this actually real? What we're talking about right now?" Because it's a real life thing. Because it just feels out of worldly, new earth like. But again, like we've always said, not always sunshine and rainbows.
Yep.
Yeah, just truth.
Absolutely is truth.
Yeah,
So
that's something.
knowing that and moving through that piece of things, we were talking earlier about like a deeper layer to embodiment and being able to like
Mm,
fully embody that into the human aspect of it. And how do we actually do that in a way that's very grounded and still be able to be out there, out and about? Do we still have protectors up? What does that look like? What does that look like to live
yeah,
fully on a spectrum? Because, and this is the way I see it, the more that we evolve, the more of that spectrum of light we have running through there, the more of the spectrum is with our body and what we're perceiving through that spectrum and how our nervous system is shifting to work with that.
yeah. Yeah. And my body's like, yeah, I feel that. Like, yeah, I'm feeling that. And do you know, it's interesting for me because I think I fall into that like classic category of women who did not really even know there was that neurodivergent because they just masked it so
Right.
much throughout school and life. And I think because I got diagnosed as dyslexic in university, I kind of just was like, oh, well, I'm dyslexic. Okay. And that was it. But really, when I've looked into things later on, in adulthood, and I see a lot of reels that make me laugh so much because it's that dark humor in it. Like, oh, I did not realize how neurodivergent I was until I became a mother. Yes, that is me. I did not realize how sensory overloaded I get, how dysregulated I get, how many things trigger me that shouldn't trigger me or don't trigger normal people. Time is a thing because I think, I'm on the ADHD spectrum and the autism spectrum. And so we combine that. It's not great. I have this need to be on time, but an inability to do that. And it's very difficult to just navigate like human things like that, and then there's the shame involved, like why can't I be on time for a 9 a.m. play group? Well, it's like that would be a Christmas miracle. No, it would never happen. And there's the shame and the guilt and the the layers that come with that. And recently I was in a medicine ceremony and it was very human, which was very strange. It was not otherworldly, not rainbow-like, not magic in any way. Well, it was, but in its own way. And the overall experience I took from that was the awareness of how much some of the plant medicines I do use and the natural remedies I use actually, I don't want to say balance, but kind of regulate my neurodivergency in some ways, well, in a lot of ways. And I think I got insight into what that would be without that. And it was a bit like, ooh. I was shocked to see how much my body's, I don't like the word reliant, but right now, it's like the safest, comfort, like most flowing, nicest way to enjoy life in the current experience with the overstimulation and the dysregulation. I just think that there was such a shame relationship involved with that of like, why can't I just be normal? Why can I not just function like normal people? Why am I not just like other mums? Why can I not just get up and do normal things like everybody else? Why does my brain wake up and not stop making noise at all? Like and all these different noises and responsibilities and tasks and to-do lists and things that come up. And it's just like, sometimes I need a vacation from my own brain. And I guess, real bad. And I guess I didn't realize that that's not necessarily normal. That's not what normal people experience every day. And me trying to pretend that I was normal really was damaging my soul so much, because it felt like there was something wrong with me. It felt like I was incapable, or I was less than, or I was not worthy because I could not do the same things. And I'm still unraveling what that looks like, because I never actually had an official diagnosis. I just studied mental health in university. I studied the neuroscience of the brain. So I'm aware of what things are, and I, self-diagnose, I will admit in that way. But I think I am a walking poster for ADHD, so I think I'm all right with that one. But, it is a thing, Z, and it really takes me back to that conversation we had and what you vulnerably shared on your NDE and your choice between the experience of physical, more visibility and more intensification of them symptoms or, things of neurodivergency. And I guess that can look in many different ways,
Totally.
In many different ways.
So many different ways for so many different people, especially just from my notice on really sensitive people to energy and of course consciousness itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like see quite a few running spectrum sequencing, I'll say. Something like that. There's something. And also too, like for me, it's this is the whole myself out on the table. Okay. That is extraordinarily neurodivergent, like wide spectrum. And I'm happy that my system knows how to work with it enough, because I could easily flip into a space where I would be very not functional down here as a human, right? That would be easy, because that space is so much easier for me to traverse in. Being not verbal is so much easier for me to traverse in.
Yeah, I get that. I think I'm the other way. I don't stop talking. Actual, the brain and the voice do not have that filter of like, don't always say everything that's in your brain,
Right.
Chill out.
Yep.
It's a thing for me. But I was going to ask a question. Where was I going with that? There you go. Perfect example. The question was regarding, I don't know if it's gone, but going on the non-verbal thing, let's just stem from that. I guess the way we navigate this now moving forward, labels, that was it. Thank you. Got there anyways with the same question. Yes, that was it. My brain was like going to go to the question without remembering the question, so that was cool. It led me there anyways. So yeah, labels. This came up at the workshop day. Now I'm on both sides. Just before I go into it, I sit on both sides. I did a lot of research on the self-fulfilling prophecy, and when you have an identification, a label, you can kind of like limit yourself to sometimes behaviors and I have seen it sometimes with people being told from a young age that they are something and they can't do these things because they are that thing, and then them thinking that they're not capable or never trying because they've been told that they can't. And so that's the thing. But also on the other side, I thought I was very thick at school because I didn't know I was dyslexic. And so I did not know why I struggled in exams, why I got more distracted by the clock ticking of the clock than the question that was being asked. Like I had no idea why
Yeah.
these things were so difficult to me. And so getting that label of dyslexia really helped my brain release shame on not functioning the same way normal people did. So I guess it's a really weird line I sit on. I'm like, I like the labels because I think they help the human understand, but also like I'm not going to be limited by that and I don't let it become who I am.
Oh, totally.
It's just a way of expressing my frequency sometimes, and it can
Yep.
human translate to other people. So for example, without the word autism, how do you explain the fact you don't want to speak and you can't speak because you're that dysregulated and your brain's not braining, like
That's
without them
true.
words, how do you human that?
That is an absolute thing. For the longest time, I just like use Spectrum. Um,
Yeah,
but my body, and it's giving my body the choice to see how it wants to fluidly move. Like, how
yeah,
do you want to work with this piece? Because obviously those masks are full off, and like I'm out and about with that Spectrum, working with it on a day-to-day basis, right? If I am communicating with others, like my body is gonna go, I do run through the spectrum. That's not my limitation though, and it's not my identification, right? It's
yeah,
just a mode of expression to move through. Um,
right,
that gives it's the bridge. I usually like say it when it's a bridge point. I'm like, just so we're aware of that. And it does help my body go, okay, right off the bat, this is where this is headed. Like, so,
yeah,
you know, I will be full out there, and if something pops up that might make you uncomfortable, like that's what that's going to be. But I'm going to tell
yeah,
you who I am right off the bat in the space.
yeah. And it does help. I think that's the thing. So I think I'm a firm in the middle around labels. I don't think that they should like be overly forced, and I don't think that they should be undervalued for human acknowledgement as well, because they can help process a lot of things. Just don't get caught up in the I am this, because then sometimes, especially like health conditions, and mental health conditions.
Sure.
Some days I have depressive days, but it doesn't mean I am depressed, and I think that that's important to distinguish the difference between we all have expressive days. Sometimes you might be going through a period of life where them days are more often than other days, and you have them more continuously, more prolonged for an extended amount of time than you have at another stage of life. But it still does not mean you are that thing. You are
Absolutely.
just experiencing that emotion for a longer period of time, for example. And I wish I'd have known this when I am panic attack, I am anxiety, I am depressed, constantly affirming this to the universe and myself and recreating it in my experience. And I really wish I had known that difference between I'm experiencing it. That don't mean I am this, because the
Totally.
I am is very powerful for creation. And if you are affirming that all the time, it's not the best for overall future creation of timeline.
Absolutely. It's
Mm.
It's just it's discernment. It's discernment in your body,
Yeah,
how you want to move it. I was moving through medicine spaces at one point, and obviously I've had a deep existence in this particular time and space, and I'm very expressive about it. This is what I moved through. This is what that looks like. I'm not ashamed of what happened to me. Um,
yeah,
and I heard from the background like, well, is it pain your thing? Did you come here with pain? And my body just stood up and said, I have experienced it, yes. The pain is not mine to carry, and I will not
yeah,
be labeled under that terminology. But thank you. But yes, I am a human. I have moved through it.
yeah.
Okay.
But isn't that the one thing that makes you a phenomenal energy worker, because you've actually felt it and you've actually lived it
Absolutely.
and then worked through it? Like, I'm
Absolutely.
sorry, but I don't think you can, personally, it's just my opinion, don't take me as gospel, but I don't think you can hold space truly if you haven't lived it. And I don't mean you have to live exactly every single trauma. I mean, if you haven't moved through darkness, if you haven't lifted yourself up from something and moved through it, dark nights of the soul, looked at your shadow, worked through your shame, your guilt, your fear. If you aren't doing that, personally, I think the space you're holding for others to do that, how can you deeply embody that if you haven't deeply embodied it? It's one thing to read a book, to study a course, to observe. That's fantastic. And knowledge is wisdom, but it's not embodiment. And this is the difference. Sometimes we have spiritual bypassing at its finest. There is fantastic people that know fantastic knowledge in this industry, and take that knowledge. If it calls you, take it. But know that not every person doing this work, famous or not, is embodied in what they're doing. And a lot of the time you know that because they're not always real.
Yep.
You know, you have to take the realness. That realness is probably going to trigger people. I trigger a lot of people just from breathing, existing. You know, and a big part of what triggers people is the wild woman within. And I don't mean that always in a sexual way. I mean in the sacred rage, in the ancestral wisdom of the womanhood, in the power behind being connected to that wild woman. It intimidates or irritates a lot of people.
Yep.
And it's met with disgust and repulsive and like, judgment. And that's hard for me to sit with because I want to fully embody it. And then I'm having to face shit over there, you know, and it causes me to be in insecurity too. So I'm working through publicly embodying that and allowing myself to hold space in that frequency without being afraid of what that is received and how that is received, you know, and it's a scary, frightening place sometimes. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, as I've said, but it's part of the journey. If I want to hold this space for other women to do this, I've got to walk it. You know, you can talk the talk, you've got to walk the walk. And I think that's so important in this world because there is a lot of spiritual bypassers that claim to be the be all and end all, but have only talked it and not actually walked it. And there's a very big difference. I was doing it for the past, when I was 17 till about 21, I was the best reader you could find in all of West Yorkshire, more or less. I wasn't doing the work on self. I was still in hospital. I was still having panic attacks. I was still living in anxiety. I was a shit hot reader, but emotionally and physically, and my nervous system was probably the most dysregulated it's ever been because I was taking on so much without working on my inner stuff to deal with it. And so you can be really great at what you're doing, but not necessarily really great for you inside and what you need. And I think that's really important to question.
To be in discernment about, even when you're out looking at who's out there, what they're showing up as, at least from my perspective and in my body. Like I could definitely see the wisdom. I could see aspects of people, I mean, like who are, you know, really, really famous, getting, you know, hits off of that. And my body will clock it as that's fake.
Instantly. It's like,
okay. My body's like, you know, and for me, I am so firm with, I am not going to put anything out there unless I've immersed myself in it. I've walked as many aspects as I possibly can in it, all the way down to like face flat on the floor if I need to do that, just to be able to immerse myself in it. And then I'll put something out there. Is it truthful? Yes. Is it raw? Is it real? Absolutely. Does it trigger? Absolutely. Some people might not like it because it's also going to trigger that deep part of you ready to come out of there, who might have some of those masks on or might be working with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. We've all worked through these phases of being fake. Like, like
literally. Yeah, we're not shaming anyone. If you're walking through that, we was walking through that at one time. Come walk with us into authenticity because that's the way to be. Because truly, like the new earth is going to show it true. The truth will shine. And I don't mean that as a threat in any way to anyone, but stand in your truth, because even if you don't have loads of followers and loads of money right now, it will reward you later on when you just held your own in your own authenticity. That will energetically reverberate back on you.
Oh, well, for sure. And the reason why even right now it feels like that might be the case is because we're working in this period with the collective where everything has to be unveiled, right? All those masks have to go off, and that's a process for everybody. So we've got to do our own work and be strong in that. And then that allows for others to do that too. And it will come back to you holding that steady and strong for whatever time that takes.
Literally. And the discernment is important because it's like, there's so much going on right now, and I understand how hard that must be for people, like, especially if you are on the spectrum too, because you've got this, you've got the human, like what you need to do life-wise, money, food, kids, life, house, all them things. That's a lot in itself, let's be real. And then you've got all this spiritual healing work that we're doing, and the deep programming and the thoughts and the roots and the wounds and the healing and the triggers and the reprogramming, all the different nuances. And then you've got the spiritual stuff, looking for the energy. Is this right? Is there portals over there? Is there spirits over there? You know, and combining all that together I find it difficult, and I've been practicing this consciously for 12 years, and this is some hard shit. And let me tell you, we've not all been doing this. I don't think any of us have been doing this in this level of depth, holding it in the body. When I used to work as a medium and a spiritualist, I was going up to a frequency to access that information and bring it down. It's different now. It's not like that now, and I had to turn off the human part of my brain to do that work. It was separate, it was, you go there to do that, and obviously you're communicating in your body, so it's partly there, but all them things about like life and work and they're gone over there, and it's like this separation, this divide. Now we're out and about living light, and messages are coming through portals, and it's like this integration of embodiment whilst then dealing with the kids and the food and and it's this multidimensionality of mind, body, and soul, literally. That's not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to feel like an easy ride. It's meant to unravel you. That's the point, because it's going to unravel who you actually are underneath the ego.
Absolutely. And it's then up to you, and it's even my process to be able to accept who you are underneath all of that, which is a huge aspect. Because like you, I am a completely wide range spectrum, ADHD, dyslexia. Like I had dyslexia like labeled when I was little. I was grateful that my mom, I had all those things labeled when I was little. I was grateful that my mom was like, yeah, I'm not going to buy into that.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people get medicated and everything as a child. God.
Yep, my mom refused. So I lived with spirits. I mean, ever since I can remember, when I was little, I've worked this line, and I continue this work in process, moving all the way through my progression of things. And I have to admit, over the last probably like 3 years now, this progression into the entirety of who I am has been, of course, for one, the most terrifying, because I'm like, oh shit, look, that's what that really is like when that's gone. Oh my
God. Yep. Literally. Literally.
Wow. It is like something that like it doesn't surprise me. Like I expect that. I've had that since I was little, but with the masking, or even I would say it's spiritual disassociation in cases spiritual.
Yes, that was a thing. I was doing that for a long time.
A while, because there was so much spiritual stuff going on, and my body couldn't handle that so much. Okay, so that spectrum was really intense for a while, and I really wasn't able to function for a good period of time. I was really not functioning.
Yeah. No, I feel like that. That's why I think my body crashed out stomach wise, anxiety wise. My solar plexus was the main issue of my stomach problems. And I was on, as you know, all the meds and all the stuff. And it was like my body was just shutting down because of the overload of energy, dysregulation of nervous system, not knowing how to communicate that, no support, no awareness, no understanding myself. It's a very lonely place to be. And you just don't realize how. Like my sister's she's 12 and she's like a mini me. Her brain is like my brain, and I see it. I'm like, girl. And my mum, obviously, bless her, she doesn't have the same brain. And so she's trying to understand it. But because she had me, I see her recognizing things so much earlier in my sister and like pushing for recognition and support and awareness. And like, again, not buying into the like, let's identify her by it, but also let's get some acknowledgement so she can get the support she needs for it. And I think it's great that maybe we did struggle a little bit, and I'm sure the generation before us struggled incredibly because they probably didn't even ever have that diagnosis, acknowledgement, identification, so it is difficult. We're all going through different chapters, and I guess the main point of this whole video is it is a deeper layer to stepping into your authenticity. Going through what I went through recently, I didn't feel like anyone would understand because it wasn't really human. I mean, there was human aspects to it, but
Absolutely.
Whoa, what? It was so wild that even, like I said, I'm still processing it. And the way we then communicate this, the way we then share this, again, you don't have to share anything you don't want to share, but being brave enough if you do feel like you want to, not carrying shame or fear. Not everyone's going to understand it and receive it with love, and that's okay. But as long as you're okay and at peace with what you know is your truth and you embody that, it shouldn't shake you, It's your truth. No one else can take that away from you. So I think my message for today is step in your truth. And if you're walking through some wobbly times right now, know that it really doesn't last forever. It will end. There will be meaning, purpose, and light behind it. You just have to keep on taking a step by step and trust that you are being guided exactly where you need to be, even if it's painful.
Absolutely. Trust is huge in that. And just baby steps.
Yes,
Just
so
keep
true.
taking those. Sometimes it just feels like you're walking those baby steps in the dark. But really that is universe and your soul asking you to just take a step with me at a time. And trust that this is all going to be exactly where it needs to be. And the greatest moments of me being entirely myself, even out in public, on camera, all the things. After that, even if my body's like, I don't know about this, it's always
Literally.
I trust myself and I trust my soul enough to know that, um, regardless of what happens with that, I was at least in integrity with myself and in my truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Regardless.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what anybody else is working with. And if I hold that steady through every single space, those rewards do come in. It might not be
they
exactly
do.
what I'm thinking it is because that nothing really is in the universe, but they do come in. They do come in quickly and they're more rewarding, I want to say, um, than anything, actually. It's just this,
Yeah.
like, I don't even think I ever have words for that. It's just a,
No, exactly. I understand exactly what you mean because this experience for me didn't give me a physical thing, but the depth of like love and connection and pride and knowing and like trust that I gained from this experience to myself and to the other realms, the realness and the integration of that was so powerful.
yeah,
What a gift. Like
absolutely.
that gift came through sadness and sorrow. Yeah, felt like I died, but also the rebirth from that. Wow, there is nothing that could have given me that gift like that.
There's no words for
It
that.
was just truly magical and beautiful and so powerful. And so, take your gifts through the darkness. Because that's usually where they come the brightest.
Absolutely. And
Mm,
they know too. Your gifts, your body, your soul, your inner,
yeah.
all of those components, body, mind, soul, all the way up in consciousness. They know exactly where you're at what time, how to
Hmm.
work with you, how to give yourself enough permission to be yourself, and also love yourself exactly where you're at, and to take those steps.
Yeah. I love that. I absolutely love that. With my shoulders just started aching.
But
Feel like we're carrying the weight of a world on the shoulders. And interestingly, it's on the left side, so that's a lot to do with women. So maybe it feels like women are carrying a lot of the responsibility and burdens right now of the collective. So maybe it's our time as women to just consciously release that responsibility and expectation on ourselves to always be everything for everyone at all the time. Maybe and it's easing up now, so I do think that's right. Maybe we just need to let go of that pressure that we put on ourselves more than anything. The
absolutely,
pressure that's put on ourselves to be everything. Maybe we just need to pick one or two things that we can sustainably do, continue that. And like you said, Z, one day at a time, because we're going to hit burnout if not.
oh yeah, for sure.
Really
There.
important. Mm. Just kidding, so I guess. Yeah. But yeah, what a nice little chat. I really enjoyed this. And I've really enjoyed, like, even though we didn't have much of a plan, again, it's always real and raw with us. I think next week, why don't we do a live video? And if people want to, like, jump on, send us some questions, we'll put us buy me a coffee link below. So if you want to support us, you can. And we could maybe go through, answer some questions, talk about some energy just connecting with people live. I think that would be quite nice if you guys are open for that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that would be fun. And me and Z are hosting a retreat in September. Tickets are very limited. It is on the 23rd of September till the 27th. It is in Crete in Greece. Flights and transfers are not included, but all the information is on the website. We're getting a private villa. We've got some beautiful space. We're viewing the Cretan mountains. There's water nearby. All meals are included, full board, everything. It's all inclusive, drinks as well. So there's everything you could need other than your flights and transfers. Yeah, so we're really going to be doing some deep work. All the stuff we've talked about today, let's go, bring it on.
Yeah,
And we don't do it by easy. So you're going to be going through a ride, but in the most beautiful way. You'll be held. You'll be taken through the journey that you'll need. You will be reborn. I can guarantee you that. If I can guarantee you anything, you'll be reborn in the way you need to be reborn, and we'll help hold space for that. And there's also a lovely facilitator that we will bring on. She's just incredibly busy. Lucy, who's going to be working with the somatic body, yoga, daily exercises, connecting with the chakra, communicating with the body, releasing tension out of the fascia. She's a trained physiotherapist, so she's fantastic at all this. She's renowned worldwide for working on some very important people. So she'll be bringing all that experience and expertise to our lovely people and sharing the insights on all the magic she brings as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really wild time in the best of ways. It's going to be activating, powerful. It's going to be sacred. And I'm really excited to surrender into serenity. So if you do want to join us, payment plans are available now on the website. Check it out, spiritualsoulcenter.com/events. And you'll see it there, Surrender and Serenity. All ticket information is there. If you have any questions, if you're struggling with money, if there's something that's coming up and you're really, really, really called to be there, message me and we'll have a chat. You know, nothing is impossible. And if you see yourself there, you're meant to be there. So let's go, let's do some really powerful work. And let's be reborn.
Also collaborate community. This is going to be really fun for us to see each other as equals and be able to collaborate in a way that I don't think was available to us even a few years ago.
No, not at all. Because again, there's not many spaces where you get the combined nourishment, relaxation, healing work, workshops, and also power being handed back to you. That's mine and Z's main thing, is giving you back your power, reawakening that power and ferociousness within inside you in the most magical of ways. So if you are ready for that and you do feel called, you know what to do, guys. And like I said, places are limited, so don't hesitate to just get in touch and let us know that you're even interested and you like have some things you need to work out, whatever, so we can at least reserve your place for some time or whatever, you know, just to make sure you're not left out. Because I think it is important. We were talking about this at the workshop day. When they're channeled in for a reason, and they're usually only channeled in one time. So they probably won't be repeated again, especially not in this way at this time, in this frequency. So if you are called, please know this is probably a one-time stop. So make sure you're there if you're ready to be there. And remember, I wanted to go to Mark Atwood's retreat, seen it and thought, oh, I'll never be able to go there. And then I got asked to facilitate there. So sometimes you don't know how things are going to play out. You know, sometimes you're just meant to trust that if you're meant to be there, the finances will come if you're struggling, or the path will realign if it's not aligned. Trust, have faith, everything we've spoken about in this video, and just keep telling yourself that you're on the right path, regardless of where you are right now. If you feel like you're on the right path, keep moving.
All right, guys, please subscribe and give us some questions below that we can go on live with so that you can join us.
Mm-hmm.
We're happy and open to talk about any topic. So
yes, and all these recent offerings that she's just been collaborating with and doing that, they'll all be under the video too. So please do check them out because she's just amazing. And thank you, Z, for this wonderful activating chat and holding space as always. You're just a little miracle worker. I love you.
Likewise. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.